Wheels up, everyone. Welcome to our latest installment of Touchline Talks right here on TorontoFC.ca and the various Toronto FC social channels. Gareth Wheeler with you once again. No Terry Dunfield this week. He keeps on bailing on me, but I've taken a step in the right direction by lining up this week's guest. We were just bantering just off air. I don't think I ever interviewed him when he was in the Canadian Premier League, but you come to Toronto FC, then you get to hang out with Gareth Wheeler. Lukas MacNaughton has stepped right in across the Toronto FC back line, and he looks like he's been here for 3 or 4 years now. Right at home, an immediate impact. What a guy. And he's joining us right here on this week's podcast. What's up, Lukas? How are you?
It's an honor, Gareth. Good to speak to you.
An honor. Wow.
An honor, yeah.
That's a big compliment.
He just admitted off camera that Pacific was the best team last year in the CPL. So
I did.
I'm honored to be here.
By the way, where do you keep your medal for winning the Canadian Premier League last year?
You know, I took it with me on a trip right afterwards, and then right after we won, and then since then it's just been hanging in my closet, ready to go.
See, the way that you're starting that, I thought you were going to say, well, I left it where I was on vacation.
No. It's with me. It's with me. It's here in Toronto.
Right on, man. Congratulations. 3 years. Well, I kind of break it down into three completely different years in the Canadian Premier League. One was a full proper season, the first year of the league, then a tournament on Prince Edward Island, then some crazy whirlwind trip that ended up in a championship for you and your former teammates with Pacific FC last season. What a great breeding ground or training ground to provide you the proper context to be where you are at today. Maybe if you want to kind of address what that experience was like for you getting to this high water point right now in your career, being a real important player for Toronto FC.
Yeah, you said it was wild because the first year the league was just starting. So I think there were some great things in the first year, but there was obviously the hiccups and just that kind of growing pains of starting a new team, starting a whole new league. So there was some great football. And then there was also some strange things that were going on and some things that needed to be improved. And I think in the second year that all those things were addressed, and then COVID happened. And as a new league, you're hit maybe a little bit harder than some of the more established leagues. So that was a weird one. And then this third year, everything kind of came together, I think, for the league and for us as a team. But one of the things that I said before is that actually for myself and I think for Pacific, it was one of the best things that could have happened, COVID, because we didn't stop training. We were able to focus on ourselves. Me, myself specifically, I was able to really kind of train when maybe other people weren't training as hard. And I think that helped me to kind of establish myself, come into the third season fully fit, knowing what I had to improve on from my first and second season, and really having that time to do that. So it was interesting. But even within the 3 years that I was there, I saw enormous growth within the league, within the players, within the whole organization. And so with Canada going to World Cup now, it's exciting just to see where the whole thing is going in the country.
Man, especially with Canadian players, Canadian coaches, Canadian personalities, right, Lukas? And you were part of that. I got to be honest with you, like year one, you were a leader within Pacific. Your team was good, but the entire group came together and grew by leaps and bounds over 3 years. And you were a big part of that to the point in year number 3, you're in the top 3 in terms of players in the Canadian Premier League. What do you attribute your personal growth to? Because, man, you kind of skyrocketed. Is it as simple as like being able to play at a decent level on a regular basis and given, responsibility? How beneficial was that in terms of your growth?
There's a lot of factors. I don't think you can put it to one thing. But my first year at Pacific, it was an interesting group because you had players coming back from overseas that were more at the end of their career, who had great careers, but were kind of at the end of it. You had young guys who had just left the Whitecaps and were trying to find themselves again, or were now given an opportunity to try and prove themselves again. And you had guys that had never played professionally. So it was a weird mix. There were different egos. There was a lot of, I guess, uncertainties. And then the second year, the owners, we had a new coaching staff, and that trimmed down the team to kind of the core and then brought in other pieces that would complement. And it wasn't necessarily who's going to be the best players. Are we going to bring in superstars that are going to turn this team around? No, we brought in a great locker room. And I think that's one of the things that made our team a success, is that everybody, every day they were fighting for each other. Every day at training, everybody was pushing each other. Every day it was like there were fights in training, but it was always a positive way. Everybody wanted to do well, and that meant the other guy had to do well as well. So even if we were in each other's faces, it was like a very positive environment, and it was no egos, no fights, no just everybody was pushing each other. And then of course you bring in a coach who played at my position and wanted to help me individually, and saw the potential in the group with the players that we had. And so he pushes you to want to win the league, not just to win a couple games here and there. And then when you're doing well, you get confidence, and everything is kind of like a cycle that builds on itself. And yeah, so a bunch of things, I guess. But when they all come together, that's what happens.
I can see the confidence in your game, though. Like that's kind of showing itself at MLS. Before we get to Toronto FC, and a little bit more about your background, our listeners might not be aware, but you were suspended for the semifinal game against Cavalry. And at the end of the season, Matt, Pacific was rolling. They were stomping on teams. There was a little bit of a wobble down the stretch, a couple of key suspensions, including yourself. And you had to watch a game that went to extra time in Calgary for Pacific to punch their ticket to the final. From your vantage point, was the ball in or was the ball out?
On the line, it was in. I was actually, so I went to that game, and that also shows how good of a group, not just the team was, but the whole environment of the club. The whole club went to those away games, and it was just how unified we were. Even though I was suspended, I was there in the stands, and I was obviously not even sitting, just freezing, but so nervous on the side. Yeah. But we had such a good group that there was, when guys were injured, Marco, huge piece, came out injured, and then we were still winning games. It's not like I was out. Thomas, who had been injured for 2 months, comes in, plays 90 minutes, an unbelievable game. It just showed how good everybody was, and the guys that did come on and maybe that weren't playing that many minutes had the confidence to play.
Very cool. It was awesome to see. It's Thomas Meyer-Giguère, just for our listeners. That's Thomas stepping up and stepping in for Pacific. Yeah, you know me. Look, when did it become apparent that this dream of playing for Toronto FC, a club that you used to train with TFC2 back in the day, you used to live in the city, play for the University of Toronto. When did it come a reality for you? Like, oh crap, this is actually going to happen. Like, I'm actually going to go to TFC and get a shot.
Well, I think there was a lot of talk, but until it was signed in paper, it happened. Yeah. So whenever I signed my contract, I think it was January 17th. Yeah, that was the day.
Did you feel like this was the natural next step? Did you feel like you were ready at that time? Like, obviously you fit to a T right now, but there's got to be a lot of emotion, a lot of thoughts going through your head.
Yeah, because I grew up in Belgium, and I was really thinking about going back to Europe and kind of making it full cycle at that time. But I thought the best opportunity in terms of football, at where I am in my career right now, and the age I'm at, and everything that I was going through, I thought the MLS was the place to be. And I thought that if I come to the MLS, I'll have an opportunity to play and prove myself and keep improving. And yeah, thankfully the two came together. And yeah, I'm happy, especially in Toronto, where I have like already a group of established friends. I know the city. I'm comfortable here, and I think that helps a lot and goes a long way in your time on the pitch as well. If you're comfortable off the pitch, you're having a good time, you're healthy off the field, then you're going to do well on the field.
See, I'm privy to conversations. Like, I knew that scouts were looking at you, Lucas. Like, I know you have the ties with Caps and Mondino, in the academy, but was Toronto FC a lot? Because I mean, Pacific, you're in, Vancouver Whitecaps' own backyard again. And perhaps that draw of living here before and just being so familiar with the surroundings made you a natural fit to come back with TFC?
From a personal point of view, definitely. I wouldn't have wanted to go. This was the first choice to go. Yeah.
Very cool. You stepped right in. I'm not quite sure the way that you envisioned things playing out, but I mean, early in the season here, players have gone down for injury. It's been a next man up mentality. And, when you've played 4 of the first 5 games of the season and you've looked really good in doing that, were you prepared? Were you ready to kind of being thrown into the fire with a brand new head coach, so many new players? It must feel like a completely new team with the OGs of Michael and Oso being around. But like, what, just how do you prepare yourself for embarking on something completely different?
You know what? I almost feel like it's similar to the situation I came into Pacific, as I'm an underdog. I got nothing to lose. So basically I'm just here to prove myself and to train every day, stay healthy, and help the team in any way I can. And I think if you come in with the positive mentality and you try and push yourself and you push everyone around you and stay healthy, then you will get a chance. So that's what I'm here to do. I definitely wasn't envisioning coming in the second game of the season because of the quality of the center backs that we have on this team. But yeah, I'm thankful that I got the chance, and now it's up to me to just keep going, keep playing well, and keep pushing everyone around us and getting wins.
We're hanging out with Lukas MacNaughton. I'm Wheels. Has anything surprised you so far?
No, not really. Like I said, the city, I'd never. So we played TFC in the Canadian Championship. So I got a little taste of being in the stadium, playing against the guys, knowing their qualities and that. I trained around here when I was a kid, so I'm familiar with everything that goes around outside of the pitch. But then being with the new coaching staff and under Bob Bradley, who's an amazing coach, I don't think anything is scary to me, but his attention to detail is what stands out to me. He's always looking at video, always kind of got, just position here, step here, move here, little touches, just very, very detail oriented. And I think that's what's made him successful in the past, and I think will help to make us successful. Even when we're winning games, we're destroying ourselves in the video.
well, what you've been watching of yourself, I mean, it's been impressive so far. You're also playing alongside such a good center back in Carlos Salcedo. What's it like to play alongside him?
Yeah, that's one of the things too, that here I'm learning from some of the best guys in the world. He's played at the highest level. He's played in the biggest games on the biggest stages. And if you train with him, you can see his quality and what he does on the ball and the confidence he has and everything he does. So you try and emulate that and learn a little bit here and there from everybody. And great.
Over the loudspeaker inside BMO Field last week, and they called goal scored by Lukas MacNaughton. I knew that it wasn't your goal. It did come off the New York City FC defender in what turned out to be a victory for you guys, a 2-1 final. Did you think about claiming the goal? Like oftentimes you look at it and the guys putting up, they clearly know that they didn't get a touch, but they're putting up their hand anyway. Claiming the goal. Because you didn't do that. I give you credit.
What's that?
You didn't do that, so I give you credit.
No. I went up for the header, and I knew that, if the ball was coming straight to my head, but he touched it before me, and I knew I didn't touch it. But I see the ball go in, and I can't help it. My instant reaction is to celebrate. So I'm happy, and then I go straight over to Pozuelo, and we celebrate together. But yeah, I don't know. I can't help it. As soon as I see the ball go in the net, I'm gonna smile, put my arms up.
No, but some guys go like, that was me. Like they're pointing at themselves, putting up. You didn't do any of that. You were just celebrating the team goal.
You can't do that.
It was very gracious of you.
You can't do that. No.
That goal's coming though. Like for TFC fans out there.
when I get my own, then I'll celebrate it like that.
I just thought even earlier in the season, a goal that you guys scored, it came from a corner kick, came from a set piece. You were way up the field. I just thought it was so smart and savvy at the time where you got your head up, no one was available inside the area, and you just let it run into touch. Like, these are the little things that I see, Lucas, that make you just seem so comfortable at this MLS level.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's like I said, when you win stuff and you have confidence from people around you, that gives you confidence in yourself, even if you don't necessarily have it to start with. If other people give it to you, then it grows within you. So yeah, I'm confident in my ability on the ball and my defending, and yeah, do anything I can.
I know we just have a couple minutes left. A couple items that we need to take care of first. You played CIS soccer, U Sports Soccer. You played for University of Toronto. I'm a Western guy. I played 5 years with Western Mustangs. One of my darkest moments.
It explains it all now.
Number one team in the country. We lost in penalties to U of T. I think it was 2004. It was just such a heartbreaker. There was always a rivalry there. You can rub it in all you want about you playing for U of T, me playing for Western. I'm fine with that. But I just think it's so important to stress to people out there the opportunity when it presents itself, how you need to take advantage of it, and how there might not be one direct path to make it at a professional level. There's all different ways to getting there. And really, you're a living example of that, Lucas.
Yeah, it's true. I'm happy actually that I've done it the way I have, because at the time we would have this Anthony Capitoso, who's now the academy director at TFC that you mentioned earlier. He was the head coach at the time when I was at U of T. And every year he would do a presentation for new recruits and young guys coming into the team and show them a pathway of, if you play with us at U of T, we want to push you to the next level if you're good enough and if you really want to do that. And he'd show examples of players that had come through U of T and pushed on to the next level. And there was examples of Chris Manella, who had signed with TFC for the first team and then gone to Ottawa Fury. He didn't have as much successes as I think he would have wished at TFC, but there was him. There was John Smits, who had gone to Edmonton NASL. But apart from that, there really wasn't any examples. So when you saw this thing, you're like, yeah, it's possible, but is it really something realistic? No, not at all. So in the back of my head, and I'd gone through it, it was not even real to imagine that or to dream it. And now I think that now that I've done it, Joel Waterman has done it, you've seen it and it can happen. And so kids that now are able to see this pathway and dream it and actually put in the work to go there, I think it's great, because there is the talent in Canada and not everyone gets the chance to go to the States or on a scholarship or leave home. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm excited for them, honestly.
Yeah, me too. And I'm excited about other players and their opportunities to come through as well. The other guy that sticks out, I called an OUA final game featuring Mark Anthony Kay with York. And York's been
Mark Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they've been a factory of players getting a look at various levels, but to see you accomplish this, full credit to you, Lucas. We're really proud of you.
Back when I was playing, it was always York against U of T. So I was always playing against Mark Anthony. He was playing as a winger back then.
see, it was Western York when I played, but I'm a lot older than you. Times have changed, clearly. Finally, before I let you run, I need a prediction. The Canadian Premier League season is starting this weekend. Who's going to win the North Star Shield this time around?
You know what? I have to stick with Pacific. Why? Because
you played there.
But I played there, but also they have that core group of players that's still there. And I'm obviously good friends with a lot of them. So I talk to them and get the inside scoop. And I think they still have the same routine. They're training hard. And they got some new guys that came in that are going to be exciting. So I got my money on Pacific.
All right. I got Cavalry this year. Don't hate me for that. What I'm hoping is down the road in this year's Canadian Championship, we do see you and Caden and TFC taking on Pacific. That would be really, really cool. And I actually think there's a possibility of that.
It's tough. They're tough competition. I know that. So maybe I don't want to play them.
and maybe this time you'll play in Langford and not in Toronto, and we'll see what happens. So
yeah, that would be good. I would love to go play back there, actually.
Awesome, buddy. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this. We're proud of you. Keep up the great work. And we're looking forward to seeing how the rest of this season plays out for you.
Oh, thank you very much. And I'll see you around and we'll talk.
He is Lukas MacNaughton of Toronto FC joining us on this week's Touchline Talks. I want to thank our producer, Erica. Terry, we think he'll be back next week for a Come On You Reds podcast. We'll break down the weekend that was and the week ahead for Toronto FC. Next up at BMO Field, Philadelphia Union next weekend. On behalf of everyone at TFC, I'm Gareth Wheeler. Wheels down for this week.